What's up YouTube? My name's Zachary Will. I'm here with Riverside Studios, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about one of the lesser known things about videography, and that's just the business aspect of it. And I guess I just had two things in particular I just want to talk about. And the first one is just about gear. And I think there's this misconception that when people are reviewing gear, they're talking about build quality, they're talking about what are the specs, what are the, does it do 4K, does it do 4K 60, all these little spec aspects of the gear. But what we're really trying to get at in reviews is just, is it gonna make me more money? Is it gonna help my business succeed? And that might be a little bit of a complicated question, and so we tend to break it down into those little categories of like, what are the specs and stuff. But it's also important to note that sometimes the specs of a camera might not seem too great, but it's still a well-respected camera, and so it can still get you gigs because of that. For example, a C100, it doesn't do 4K, it only does 1080, but because of its, because a lot of people in the industry know that it's a good camera, videographers with good quality work tend to use it. So, and videographers tend to know the camera. And just because of those couple aspects, it tends to get you more work too, just over maybe a lesser known camera, maybe like a Fuji X-T3, which lots of people are like, ooh, well, it has lots of cool specs, but almost nobody in the industry knows of that camera. And so that might not help you get gigs. Even though the specs look great, it might not get you jobs. Another important thing to note is that I'm making a distinction between videographers who go direct to the client and videographers who work for somebody else who then goes direct to the client. So for example, if you're going direct to a client, clients technically don't care what camera you're working with, they just care about the end product. And so if you're buying gear that helps you produce a better quality end product, then the clients will eventually realize that and appreciate that extra value given. But somebody who is hiring you, usually it's like another video professional's hiring you to help them with a video. They tend to care a lot about what equipment you're using, and sometimes you even get those gigs because of that equipment. Sometimes it might be like, oh, you have a gimbal, we'll hire you because you have a gimbal, or maybe you have a drone and you have part 107, and we're gonna hire you because you have a drone. And it's interesting, sometimes you'll get hired because you have a 4K drone over a 1080 drone. Sometimes those specs are what gets you the jobs, but say, if you don't have a DJI drone and you get some no-name 4K drone, that's not necessarily gonna get you jobs just because it's 4K. So it's important to note that when you're buying gear, is thinking about what are your clients, who are you getting jobs from, and how will this piece of gear help your clients and help you get more clients. So just be thinking about that every time you buy gear. Another thing that I realized after doing a lot of videography is just how important sales and marketing is for videography. And it might seem obvious that, hey, a business needs to market itself, but when you first get into videography, you start thinking of it as like a career or as a job, and you don't really think of it as a business. And once you start switching into that business mentality of your videography as a business, and then you start thinking about, how can I get my word out? How can I get the word out about my services? And thinking about it that way, and thinking about your time spent trying to get gigs as also part of your job is really important into being successful in videography. In fact, I would say I probably spend just as much time trying to find gigs, trying to market my services, and thinking about new ways to get new clients, than just as much time doing those things as I do actually making videos. And so it's important to balance these two things. And sometimes you might do more of one and less of the other. and then maybe you start making too many, you get really busy making videos, and then you start to slack on selling videos, and then once you're finished with all these videos, then you have nothing in the pipeline. So it's important to keep doing both of these two things at the same time. And it's incredibly hard when you start out, and eventually you start to understand how to do it better. And it can really burn you out if you are working to try and get lots of small gigs. And I'd really encourage you to try to aim a little bit higher and trying to get those bigger jobs. It takes the same amount of time to sell a $1,000 video as it does a $300 video. And so taking the time to making sure that you're reaching out to slightly higher end videos, make sure that you spend that sale time more wisely. So definitely try to do that with your videography business. Thanks for watching this video. I hope these tips help you structure your videography business better. And I just hope that you stay tuned for some more videos. We have some cool content coming up. Can't wait. Thanks.